One of the most infuriating things that's ever happened to me in my career is when I've had a really big goal and I've done what I needed to do to prepare for executing on that goal. I've studied, I've done my homework, I've gotten the training or the certification that I needed, I've meditated, I've networked. And then when that moment comes, someone tells me, nope, you're not capable. It is absolutely infuriating. And I know from talking to my clients that they've had a similar experience when they're going after something really, really big and a company or maybe even the world says, no, you're not ready or you're not capable. So while I was preparing for today's conversation, I was doing research for Black History Month, and I came across this really interesting story about the first Black female astronaut. Her name is Mae Jemison. And I can't even imagine the obstacles that she came upon, the ageism, the sexism, and absolutely the racism. And during this research, I bumped up into a quote that I think is so awesome from Mae that really inspired me. She said, and I hope I get this right, don't let anyone rob you of your imagination, your creativity, and your curiosity. And wow, that really landed with me because underneath that quote is this idea of don't ask for permission. Don't wait for permission. Do what you need to do in order to achieve your big dreams. I'm Laverne McKinnon, and I'm a certified coach and a grief recovery specialist. And I really love to help people that are in transition, career transition. So whether you're moving up the ladder or getting kicked off the ladder or making a choice to move off the ladder yourself, I love to help people in transition, and I provide a lot of tools and resources to help you. So obviously, Mae going into space was a moonshot, and I don't mean that from a pun perspective. It was a really, really big goal. And I want to make a differentiation here that goals are great, and they are reachable. They're really doable. So it might mean being outside of your comfort zone to go to a networking event, or even asking for a raise. A moonshot is a big, big vision. And what's inherent in a moonshot is failure. But it doesn't mean that you're not capable. It just means that the odds are against you because of the circumstances of the moonshot itself. And so moonshots require some really specific qualities. You have to be determined, you have to be resilient, you have to be bold, and you have to have a willingness to be outside of your comfort zone and take risks and be able to tolerate failure. Now, some of the moonshots that my clients have gone after are things like starting a business, or I come out of the entertainment industry, so I know a lot of people who have a moonshot of creating and getting a television series on the air, or making a movie, or winning an Academy Award. Those are really, really big moonshots because the odds are against you, very much like Mae wanting to be an astronaut and going to space. What I love about Mae's moonshot is that it came from childhood dreams, and she was inspired in part, and I love this so much, is by Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek. Now, when Mae was in school, back in grade school and middle school, her teachers were so opposed to her pursuing this moonshot and this dream. They told her that she couldn't be a scientist or an engineer, and that she should probably pursue something like being a nurse. And this reminds me of when I was in elementary school and it came time to choose an instrument to play, and I wanted to be a drummer, and I just thought that would be so, so cool. And they gave me a flute instead. And I was like, wow, what a way to crush a person's spirit. And because I didn't have any resources, I was a little kid, I didn't have Mae's sense of vision and determination. So I just quit. I didn't play a musical instrument because I was waiting for someone to give me permission to play the drums, as opposed to just picking up a couple sticks and doing it myself. So Mae was able to achieve her moonshot. She went to space in 1992 on the Endeavour, and she was the first Black woman to make it to space. And I think in great part it's because she recognized the three hard truths of going after a moonshot. The first hard truth is that moonshots take stamina. They require a lot of effort. I would say great effort, because moonshots don't happen overnight. They take a really long time. It could be a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And so you have to have the stamina to be able to go the distance. The second hard truth is that you can't do it alone. It requires a team of people, your team of people. And that for some people is a really like hard pill to swallow because they want to be wildly independent. And I have to confess that that's been part of my journey is like, I just felt like I had to do everything alone. And I don't fully understand the psychology of it, but the hard truth is that you cannot achieve a big, big goal, a moonshot, without support from other people. The third hard truth is that you are going to fail. Setbacks are inevitable. A moonshot, because it takes great effort, you need people, it takes a long time, that they are inevitable. And so getting comfortable with failure is going to be one of the toughest, but most important things that you can do on your journey to achieving your big, big goal. Moonshots are a huge test of your confidence and your resilience. So I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do in order to be able to stay the course. Number 1, be kind to yourself. Accessing self-compassion and just like holding yourself gently, especially when those setbacks occur, is absolutely critical because you don't want to beat yourself up. That's just going to pull the resiliency out of you even more. Number 2, prioritize rest. Rest is how you replenish. It's how you nourish yourself. It definitely locks into stamina and giving yourself the energy to go the distance. Number 3, I know this probably sounds really, really basic, but you have to eat well. Nourishing your body, it helps your mind, it helps your energy. So eating well, putting good things in is going to help good things come out in terms of your thoughts, your ideas, your creativity. Number 4, move your body. So exercising, it releases the stress. And then second, it also then produces hormones that make you feel good. And again, that goes back to your stamina and your energy. It actually gives you more energy as opposed to taking it away. I know it's counterintuitive, but it works. Number 5, restoration, which is different than rest. Restoration means really refueling yourself from more of like a spiritual, emotional perspective. So some people do this through meditation, playing a musical instrument, writing, spending time in nature. So identifying what it is that actually restores you is an important part of being able to go the distance in order to be able to achieve your moonshot. Now, in my experience, when people don't pay attention to those 5 things, they burn out and they lose motivation. Doing those 5 things, it actually creates more runway for you. So you have a greater distance to be able to take off. And that's important because you can't just go from 0 to 80. Maybe some people do, but moonshots, again, they just take a long, long time in order to be able to achieve them. But once you do, they're really worth it. All right. Now, I know that I'm giving you a lot of lists, but I've got one more coming up for you because it's so important, which is failure. And this is a specialty of mine. I'm a grief recovery specialist, and studies have shown that unprocessed failure actually leads to a loss of resilience. And what do you need in order to achieve your moonshot? It's resilience. You have to be able to navigate the ups and the downs in order to go the distance. So the first thing when you encounter a setback on your way to a moonshot is to assess, not judge. So assessment is looking at what happened and determining, oh, I could have done this differently. Oh, we should have made this choice instead of this choice. But there's no judgment. There's no shame. There's no blame. It's not pointing fingers. It's really about the most mature version of yourself and the best intellectual version of yourself looking at a situation and determining what went right and what went wrong. So assess over judge. The second thing, after you've done the assessment, is to actually acknowledge what was lost. It could have been time. It could have been money. It could have been resources. It could have been relationships. It could be like people on your team who have bailed. Recognizing the loss is so important because that acknowledgement, it helps the brain understand that something is missing and now needs to be replaced. And so when you know what needs to be replaced, you can take action to replace that. The third component of processing failure, and this is really more like in the EQ realm, is to look at the meaning that you have created as a result of the loss. So, for example, I once had an experience where a team member bailed on our way to making a series, a television series, and I blamed myself, and I was like, I'm just like a really shitty manager. I'm a really shitty leader. And that meaning that I created over that loss, it really wasn't helpful. And this circles back to that assess over judge. So when I was able to put an assessment hat on, I was able to realize that I was using a one-size-fits-all leadership model, and that it was important for me to recognize that I needed to be able to motivate people in different ways, and that not everybody responds to, like, I take like a softer approach to people, and I really like to get inside of their heads and understand what their values and what's important to them. This team member that left really didn't respond to that. They were more like black and white, and they wanted to know, like, what's the end goal and when do I need to have it done by? And those types of deadlines really motivated that individual, and I did not see that clearly, and they got frustrated with what they thought was just, a lack of strategy on my part. And so I really had to look at that loss, and then I had to look at that meaning, I'm a shitty leader, and realize that that meaning that I had created was stopping me from being able to assess what happened so that I could course correct and then look at my team members and really determine, okay, how do they want to be led? Because everybody's different. And then the final step of being able to process failure is taking tiny action steps in order to regain a sense of control. So going back to that example of the lost team member, was some of the action steps that I had to take was, first, I actually just needed to journal about it. It's like I had to write down my feelings of, honestly, like anger and upset and frustration that this person had left the team. And then I had to journal about, okay, my feelings of like negativity towards myself because I lost somebody who was really, really critical. And then after I was able to take those little baby steps, I started to feel more grounded and centered, and then I could take additional action steps. So I started to meet with team members individually to say, okay, that was a big loss for us collectively. How are you feeling? What are you thinking? What do you need from me as a leader to help you move forward? And then eventually we were able to really come back together again as a team and get ourselves across the finish line. So to wrap all of this up in a bow, I was really inspired by Mae's story because in reflecting on her quote about don't let anyone ever rob you of your imagination, your creativity, and your curiosity, I was able to see that even though I wasn't present to that quote back when I lost the team member on that project, I used my imagination and my creativity and my curiosity to course correct and to be able to pull us back together again and get that project across the finish line. And so I share this with you today to say that if you have a big goal, if you have a moonshot, don't let anyone rob you of that. Do not ask for permission. Keep moving ahead, but use your ability to process failure that inevitably comes with moonshots to keep you moving towards your goal. Okay, I'm going to wrap things up for today. If you're interested in going a little bit further on this topic, you can head over to Substack. Moonshot Mentor is my Substack handle, and I have journal questions for paid subscribers that will help guide you even further into this topic of moonshots. And also for paid subscribers on Substack, you get to go to co-working sessions that I host every month, and down the road there's going to be even more benefits to those paid subscribers. Or just stay here with me on YouTube because I like being here with you guys. I want to thank Ms. Lin Chen. Lin Chen is my video and my audio editor, so thank you so much. You can find her on social at Ms. Lin Chen. And if you're interested in working with me or in a group setting, head on over to LaverneMcKinnon.com or moonshotmentor.com, and all of my social is there, but also ways that we can work together. So thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next week.